Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, May 15th, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, I got an earthquake alert just a little while ago, and it is showing a very large magnitude 6.4 earthquake, and it is approximately 200 miles north of Las Vegas. We're going to go ahead and take a look and see exactly what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and we're going to pull up the Google Earth, and I have all of the USGS earthquakes loaded onto here, and a pretty good tool to have. Okay, it's going to zoom us all the way down to the ground, and I'm going to go ahead and back off here, and we're going to see that this is in a relatively no civilization zone. Okay, so we see the magnitude 6.4 here, and that is pretty significant. On top of that, if we take a look over here, we see the depth, 10 kilometers, approximately 2.55 miles, about 2.5 miles. One thing that I do see that is definitely catching my eye are these quakes here. Here's a magnitude 4.0, very, very shallow. Another magnitude 5.1, a 4.9, a 4.4, a 3.7, a 4.7, a 4.3, and a 3.4. Now, folks, I'm going to go ahead and pan back here a little bit. Whenever these quakes are in red, whenever you see those red circles on this Google Earth quake detector, this is, if you see right over here, this is showing us that these earthquakes all occurred, all of them, within the past hour. So, you start to think to yourself, well, what's going on out here? And, there's not a lot of earthquakes here in this area. You get some here, you get some there, but they're relatively minor. If we zoom in here, there's some quakes in the past week. Very small, magnitude 1.1. I mean, these are very, very insignificant. Here's another one down here. Very, very insignificant. This is a very desolate area, as you can see. Not very much here. And I don't think a lot of people actually live out here. So we're going to go ahead and pan back so you could get a better view of where this earthquake occurred. And it's not too far from the California border. Now, we have Las Vegas way down here. So if you just go ahead and get out the Google ruler, the Google Earth ruler, and we'll place a mark right here. We'll stretch it down to Vegas. And it gives us about 204 miles. So there may be some occupied areas in this area. It's kind of hard to say, but an earthquake of this magnitude and very, very shallow. I would say the diameter area of where people felt this earthquake is probably pretty large. We're going to go ahead and pop out of here real quick. Go over to Twitter, and let's see what they're saying about this earthquake. Now, I typed in here, earthquake in Nevada, and right off the bat, we have CNN reporting on this. Now, this just refreshed. Las Vegas Review Journal, magnitude 6.4 earthquake in remote western region of Nevada, Tonopah or Tonopah. I don't know how to pronounce that. What is that? Tonopah. It has been felt in Las Vegas and San Francisco, according to social media reports as of 4 a.m. Friday. So we see everybody is now reporting on this. This is what I wanted to see right here. This will give us the epicenter of that earthquake. And that is a pretty significant area where it would have been felt. We're going to go ahead and pan down here just a little bit more, and we're going to check out and see what's happening here. It's very, very early on. You know, again, this earthquake has only occurred within the hour, so there's probably not going to be a lot of information. Now, they're saying here that this has been downgraded to 5.8. That may be one of the other earthquakes because there were multiple quakes, but I don't see any downgrading of that 6.4. So we'll go ahead and pan down a little bit more, see what we can find. And again, it's relatively early. Probably not much on here. We probably will get more data. I don't see very much going on here. Let's take a look at the space weather, because, you know, yesterday in my video, I was actually talking about the sun and activity on the sun, and how scientists were saying during the solar minimum that activity on the sun is very, very low. However, what we are seeing on the sun is a lot of activity, but not in the form of sunspots, in the form of filament releases, coronal mass ejections, and things of that nature. Now, one thing that I did notice, and I actually noticed this 2 days ago, and there was if you look right here, there was a very, very large distorted wave of solar wind that had impacted the Earth, well, about, I'd say between 24 and 36 hours ago. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Now, you can see I can't go back in time, but this, if you look at the yellow line right here, that will give you a better idea of the actual date. Okay, so here we are on the 15th. Usually when the Earth gets hit by these solar wind waves like that, it usually takes about, I would say, you know, a good 48 hours before we start to feel earthquakes. Now, let's take a look. We'll slide this forward. So we know that this large wave right here hit the Earth halfway between the 13th and the 14th. Today we know is the 15th. So we're right here. So that may be the root cause for this earthquake. I'm going to slide this forward to where we're at right now. You can see a small pocket of solar wind hitting the Earth today, and I'm going to progress the model. And as you can see, there will be more solar wind impacting the Earth all the way up to a grazing point right there on the 20th. I'm not concerned with that. So if that wave of solar wind right there caused the initial magnitude 6.4 earthquake, which the timeline is right on. Again, large amounts of solar wind directly impacting the Earth, and I mean direct hits, not grazing, direct hits. Usually it takes approximately 48 hours. You know, it all depends. It could even be up to 3 days. Normally 48 hours later, you'll start to pick up the earthquakes. So what I'm saying here, there is a very, very high possibility that this magnitude 6.4 that occurred north of Las Vegas and near the California border was a direct impact from this solar wind impact that occurred between the 13th and the 14th. And you could see it right there, folks. It also looks to me that the densest part of the solar wind that impacted the Earth hit dead center. So that would be a bullseye, most definitely. And then, as we've seen, that kicked off a whole string of earthquakes. Now, I'm not sure if there are any faults in that area where that line of earthquakes would have followed through. Let's take a look at the USGS. We're going to go ahead and put some things on here. And we'll put on the, we'll put the street view on, and let's take a look at U.S. faults. And I think that will do us just fine. We'll get rid of the list view. Let's open this up. And let's get rid of this. Let's zoom all the way in here, and let's see that line of earthquakes right here. Well, there you go. Okay, you see those very fine lines. These are unnamed faults. So this is not anything that is really significant as in faults. Let's back the truck up a little bit here. Now, you know, when you see areas like this is over in California. This is a very, very active area. We saw a lot of earthquakes over here in this area within the past 2 years. They had that very, very large magnitude 7.4, I think it was, or 7.2. But this is strange because we really don't see any faults. None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. The faults are very small that are over here. But where the magnitude 6.4 was, there's no faults. None. Zero. Well, that's kind of suspicious. And they're reporting that they felt that earthquake. Well, here you go. Here's San Francisco. They said they felt this earthquake from the epicenter location all the way to San Francisco and all the way down to Las Vegas. The rest of this area out here is pretty much uninhabited. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see what has actually occurred. Let me click over here to the USGS. And I want to see if we could take a look at the heliplots. I'm just perusing around. Just bear with me. And go right to these heliplots and let's see what we find here. Okay, so these heliplots or seismograms, we can see all the way up in Alaska. It was a very sharp spike. So this earthquake was definitely felt probably around the world. Albuquerque, New Mexico, you could see that spike is huge. It was felt in Missouri. Well, I don't mean felt. I mean felt by the actual seismograms. So they're very, very sensitive. We could see Oregon. Yeah, that's a nice, huge spike there. It picked up on seismograms in Florida, Texas, Massachusetts, Hawaii. Now, there is some activity going on in Hawaii, but not anything that would cause a spike like that. We're seeing South Dakota all the way up here in Pennsylvania. So this earthquake, this 6.4, was definitely felt by the earth. There's no doubt about that. Tucson, Arizona, you can see here, very, very large spike on the seismograms. Tennessee, Michigan. I want to see if we do have a seismogram listed here for Nevada. I just have to go through them. Virginia, Kansas. Some of these are offline. Oh, here we go. Okay. And this is data from station US Elko, Nevada. And last updated 5/15/2020 at 5:31 Mountain Daylight Time. Okay, so 11:31 UTC time. I'm going to go ahead and pan up here just a little bit. Yeah, you could see, folks, that was a pretty significant earthquake. You know, magnitude 4 is an earthquake that can do some very, very serious damage, especially if it is not a deep earthquake. If it's very, very shallow, like this earthquake was, 2.5 miles into the Earth's crust and into the Earth's mantle, it's definitely going to cause a lot of damage. If this was located in a metropolitan area or, residential area, an area that's inhabited by a lot of us. Fortunately, it was not, but it was big enough to be felt all the way over there in Nancy Pelosi land in San Francisco and all the way down into Las Vegas. So that is a pretty significant quake. And you could see it gradually panned off a little bit. And that is probably the smaller earthquakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a couple in there. 6, 7, 8. There's a very high possibility, that all of these earthquakes that we're seeing on a down scale on this heliplot or this seismogram, these are all of the smaller earthquakes that occurred. What's unusual, as I said before, is that that very, very straight line. Let's take a look at this earthquake map here real quick. Just pull this up. Take a look here. It looks like some of the quakes are still going off. Now, on this map, there may be some repeater earthquakes, and it does look like there's a lot of them. They will actually echo off into other quakes. We see the magnitude 6.4 here 70 minutes ago, so a little more than an hour ago, but this is the straight line of earthquakes that I was referring to. And that's something that you would normally see on a fault. But as we looked at this, there's no faults anywhere in that area. In this area, like I said, folks, very, very, uninhabited. Nice cluster going on there. So we will see what is transpiring here within the next hour or so. So 5.3 down here in the Fiji Islands, 4.5 up in Alaska. But other than that, the rest of the globe is relatively earthquake free. Very, very small magnitude, 2.6 up here in the state of Washington. But now we're going to be keeping our eye on this area of Nevada. Something to be cautious of. Earthquakes like this with that type of magnitude and that close to some of those other major faults that run kind of in a sloped horizontal fashion leading into California, they do merge with the San Andreas. So is there a possibility that we see a domino effect of some kind? Well, we will just have to wait and see. This is Scott from Planet X News, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching me, and do me a favor. Share this video. Let everybody else see our explorations. Thank you for watching.